Hey guys, welcome back to So Back Sports, and I'm so back with another video. And yesterday we just got some breaking news, and I got this breaking news of the Jordan Love contract right after I watched Twisters, which I definitely recommend. And uh, I gotta say, my initial reactions were completely different than what my reaction is right now. I collected my thoughts about it, and before we get into that, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. It really helps me create content like this for you guys. We're inching our way closer to 500 subscribers. So please drop a subscribe. And yeah, maybe even a like on this video if you really enjoy it. And let's go on to the contract details. As you can see here, Jordan Love has agreed to a 4-year extension worth $220 million, which makes him the highest paid QB in NFL history, despite only starting one full season. And okay, I'm gonna go back. Whoops. But before we get into those, this deal was negotiated by David Mogeta and Andrew Kessler of The Athletic first. This was broken by the news was broken by Ian Rappaport and a bunch of other news outlets, and this follows a contract that Tua got from the Miami Dolphins, where they made him the third highest paid quarterback in the NFL. I think it now bumps him down to fourth. And if you looked at the 2020 draft class, you have Joe Burrow, Tua, Jordan Love. I'm trying to remember the other, but like you see what I'm trying to say. Like the quarterbacks in that class and nowadays are getting insane contracts, and it seems like it's more and more common that even if they're like show a glimpse of talent, or even if they show a glimpse of promise, that you want to lock them down, even though it may be mediocre play or even not necessarily like insane stats, you will still want to lock them down and kind of pay them the contract that they initially deserved. Okay, now on to my initial thoughts, how I initially perceived this deal. And initially I was like, okay, this is a lot of money for, a half a season and a playoff win, which is definitely good. But I was like, I wasn't impressed. I was like, why are you giving him this much money? And especially this early into, him proving himself before, you know, maybe after like another year, maybe it would have worked, a full season full of good play. But then it got to me thinking, and kind of like doing more research on this and kind of seeing how the Packers behave in terms of quarterback play. But before we do that, let's just show you a breakdown by Harrison Graham. He's a Bears uh, analyst, not analyst, but a channel that does chat sports, and he's now tied for the highest paid NFL quarterback AAV after essentially playing 2 good months of football, which is pretty fair to be fair. Like eight 8 weeks essentially, or in 8 to 9 weeks is pretty solid. 8 games are incredible, but this man is interesting to follow. You see, in the first 9 games, he had a completion percentage of 58%, still managed to get 2K yards, 14 touchdowns to 10 interception ratio was pretty bad. I remember at the beginning of the season, it was pretty fun to watch because it would just be like Jordan Love just throwing like arm punts into the end zone and hoping that someone would catch it and it would be an interception. And while he did play good against the Bears, I'm not saying that, but that's the whole thing about the Bears is a different thing. Like they were guaranteed to win those games. And the last 8 games, he completely flipped the switch, 70%, 2.1K yards with only one interception the entire 8 games, and a rating of 112 yards. Still 2 rushing touchdowns as well. Anyways, what am I really getting at, right? I already said that the 8 games is a small sample size, but the more as I slept on it, the more I think about it, I don't think that this is necessarily the worst contract or anything. I think that this is a pretty calculated move by the Green Bay Packers. And I hate giving them praise and all that, but I gotta be honest. Like, while it is kind of a lot of money for him, especially this early, but I see why they did that. And that's because I read something where Tom Grassi, who is a Packers channel, if you haven't followed him or know his content, he's really solid when it comes to explaining, and his content is really good. And even if he's a Packers fan, I respect him nonetheless. Anyways, I want to show you a little bit more about this. He says, for the critics that say that this isn't a big enough sample size for Jordan Love's play, the Packers did this before. The Packers gave Aaron Rodgers 5 years, $65 million deal in October of 2008. And keep in mind, $65 million back then in 2008 was a lot of money. And it could be essentially, in terms of like mathematics, like it could be pretty much due to inflation now. It's kind of like a huge contract back then. And the first year he was a starter, and after a handful of games, this is the first year he got this deal. And the thing is, the Packers have seen 4 years of Jordan Love, which he was behind the bench behind Aaron Rodgers, which we've seen one season, and they know the risk they're investing. So he does mention how it is a risk, and completely agree with that. This is a complete risk because the likelihood of him not working out in Green Bay could be exponentially worse if depending on how his contract plays out. And the thing is, with this amount of money, it kind of like restricts you from paying like your skill position group, say like Jalen Reed and trying to think of the quarterbacks, or sorry, the wide receivers name, Romeo Dobbs. They end up being pure talent wide receivers for them, and eventually down the line they'll have to pay them, and it will become like an issue when it comes to the structure of your cap space. But while that may be the case, as long as they have the quarterback, say they got this right, which I'm pretty sure they did, that means that they're still kind of set at the end of the day. You're kind of guaranteeing that your quarterback plays fine, your quarterback is happy with the contract, and I don't see necessarily that this is wrong. And keep in mind, they have like the staff to do it. They have the history of developing quarterbacks, given that they had a small sample size prior. And as you could see, Aaron Rodgers was the small sample size that they've dealt with. Not saying that Jordan Love is Aaron Rodgers. I'm not comparing them like apples to apples, but Jordan Love shows glimpses of Aaron Rodgers. And while there may be two different quarterbacks, the development process does not change. The Green Bay Packers are known for developing quarterbacks now. And they've only had, three quarterbacks in the last 40, 30 years or so? So, this is not out of the ordinary for the Packers. And while I do say that, we'll have to see this year, I think they're going to be fine. And there's really nothing to worry about if you're a Packers fan. And while money will be kind of tight going on, it does pose a question for the rest of the NFL, which I'll probably get to in another video. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about the Jordan Love contract? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or you just don't care? You just want football to start, which, to be fair, I really want football to start right now. And yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below what kind of videos you'd like me to make. And please, again, don't forget to subscribe. We are really close to 500 subscribers, so it means the world to me if you could subscribe and like the video, maybe even share the video as well. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.